And he lets me unload lefts, hooks, straights, so everything I'm throwing. He's smiling at me while all this is going on. I really couldn't punch that much anymore. He just pushed me away and got up on his toes. Blah, blah.
You have your own exit plan. If you get very sick, you will take yourself out.
And there's no way my family's financial resources are ever going to be drained keeping me alive when I don't want to be here anymore. So I will go out on my own terms. Yes, I will.
Hey folks, what's the story, as we say in Ireland? Pete here from Thairish Times. How's it going? How are you doing? It's a bit dark at the moment here, 7 p.m. in Bangkok. Let's go inside here and we do the intro. So, why am I doing these interviews? If I started this channel as a mostly travel channel and kind of informative channel, giving information about life in Thailand, but then I really focused on interviews, why did I do that? Well, the answer is I'm on this massive quest for knowledge in my life at this moment. I just want to ask interesting questions, meet interesting people and learn from them. Now, I'm a big believer in that you can learn something from absolutely everybody, from the millionaire who's built a big resort here in Thailand all the way down to the homeless person on the street. That's my outlook on life. And in this episode, we're going to interview Paul. Now, Paul has been in Thailand for 36 years. He's old school, as old school as you can get. And he's lived a life that is vastly different from most other people. And isn't that amazing? We can put Paul's story on the channel and have a chat with him and hear about his life experiences, and we can learn. Because the idea is, I want to learn, like I said already, but I'm taking the camera with me and I'm putting the camera on the table, so hopefully you can learn. And a couple of people in the comments already said that they really do like to, one, experience what life is like in Thailand through other people's eyes, and two, learn from that. And that's what we're doing here in Thairish Times. So we've got way more interviews coming. So subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And if you do like interviews and you like meeting interesting people like I do, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave us a comment. So let's go meet Paul and have a chat with him. Paul, we're back again.
We are indeed, sir.
They loved you. They loved you last time. They loved you so much that I came back to do it all again.
I have to admit, I'm totally amazed that people would find it, interesting to sit and watch an old guy like me talking about some of the things that have happened to me, but I'm flattered.
Fascinating stories, Paul. Your kind of stories are not told on TV shows, and it's unusual.
Really, yes, yeah. Really, yeah.
And we've got another interesting story today. Funny stories today of your adventures in Thailand. Okay?
Yeah, a couple of things that happened to me. One I actually engineered, so I'm quite proud of that. At this time, I just got a new job at a school in Lat Phrao. It was a big K-12 school, and I was hired as the English conversation teacher for More Sam Si Ha, Matyom 345, so 13 to 17 year olds. 500 kids in a class, 8 classes per level. So I had 24 classes. A lot of kids. 1,200 kids that I was going to teach. At the same time, I moved into a new apartment building, and the young security guard, his name was Kit, a lovely guy, friendly and approachable, and I was really trying to get my Thai going, at that stage of the game. So I loved to sit down with him and having a few beers, after work, and he'd ask me about Liverpool and Man U, and I'd say, how do you say this in Thai, stuff like that. And I suddenly had this idea, so I started to say to him things like, ผมก็มีเพื่อนทั่วโลกเยอะมากเลยเป็นพัน I've got thousands of friends all over the world, and he's kind of like, yeah. Not paying much attention to that. And I did it a couple of times. I said to him, where does the mail go when it comes here? He says, oh, in that plastic box outside my box, Okay, great. what I did was the very next day I went into school, I met my first class and I wrote my name and my full postal address on there. And I said, you copy this in your exercise book, guys. Your assignment is go buy a postcard, any postcard. Write about your day, write about a place you'd like to go, write about anything. And gave them a few pointers, you know, and go to the post office, get a stamp and put it in the post box. And I did that with every single class. So after 3 days, 1,200 kids now have this assignment. I think it was day 4 when I came home. Kit's there, Mr. Bob. And I go there, and there in the box, right at the corner, it's about 9 postcards. Oh wow, I said, I picked it up. I said, oh, that's Joey from Mexico, and that's Bill from Brisbane, you know, and all this. And the guy's like, wow. I said, yeah, I gave them all my address and told them I'd all moved. Okay. Next day I come home. I go to the front and I look, and he's in his box. And I said, Mimila Wani. And he went, took me around the corner, and there's a big basket and there's a couple of 100 in there, and he's like, and so I picked them all up. I said, it's great, you know. And of course, as the days went by, they became more and more and more, and soon this guy was telling all his friends, this guy knows absolutely everybody. Yeah, so I thought that was a funny one, you know. So if any of your viewers are teaching high school kids over here, you know, it's a great exercise to get them to do, you know. And so I kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone.
You were winding him up a little bit, yeah?
Yes, I was playing a practical joke on him, yeah.
You enjoy practical jokes?
Mm-hmm. I've been the brunt of a few.
Yeah? What happened?
Would you like to hear one or not?
Go on, yeah, go ahead.
I went back to the UK once after one of my trips abroad. I'd be about 22. I'm at some party, well-to-do people. I don't know them, but I know someone who's with them. And somebody comes into the room and says, does anyone know how to play the blanket? Anyone doesn't know how to play the blanket game? Like an idiot. And I'm the only one. Okay, well, here's how it works. We're going to write down one item of clothing that you're wearing, right? And then we're going to fold that up, and then you lay on the floor and we put a blanket over you, and if you guess what we've written, you have to take that off. Okay. Muggings here. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So I'm wearing a pair of jeans, pair of socks, no trainers, t-shirt, bit of jewellery, and underpants, you know. So I'm under the blanket, and I go, okay, socks, no, socks come off. T-shirt, no, t-shirt comes off. Watch, no, watch comes off. Anyway, we end up to just underpants. Underpants, no. So of course I take them off, you know. Well, that's it, I don't have anything else on. And then the voice says to me, what are you under? And I went, blanket, yes, tough. And as they pulled the blanket away, they turned all the lights on, so I'm laying there absolutely naked on the floor. I got suckered there. Yeah, the blanket game.
Did you take the joke well?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you smiled?
Yes. I took it on the chin. And, you know, I thought, well, that the good thing to come out of that is it'll never happen to me again.
And the trick is don't get angry. A lot of people get angry then, and then that's it, you lose the head. In Ireland we'd say, oh, you know, you have to have a bit of a wind up, and the person who gets wound up can't get angry. You know, you have to be able to take the joke if you give a joke. Anyway, let's get back into the Thailand stories, right? So you've got a story about Thai boxing.
I did a bit of boxing. And this was not in any way did I have any plan to do this. When I was about 15, one of my friends, Gary, his name was, good amateur boxer. He had 250 fights, and his dad was the trainer of the club. And I used to go in there and hit the bags and the pads, and his dad pretty quickly figured out that I didn't have the determination to get through the training, you know. But I messed about a bit. So we're going back to, I don't know, sometime in the early 90s, before I met my wife, I had this great job, work permit and everything, and every summer, you know, March, April, I'd get a month off, paid. So of course on my CBR 150 and down to Pattaya. on this one particular time, they used to have, I don't know if they still do, they used to have 12 bars all in one enclosed area, and sometimes they have a boxing ring in the middle, you know, for the tourists to come and watch. So it was a lunchtime, and I'm sitting there, and I met this Aussie guy, and we're having a few beers, you know, it's really hot, but we're watching these two guys sparring, you know, and two Thai guys, and they were probably about 10 kilos lighter than me. And we're sitting there, and I said, you see the little guy, the dark guy? I said, he doesn't know how to throw a punch. He says, he's great with his feet, but he doesn't know how to throw a punch, you know. All of a sudden, before I know what's happened, he's gone and got one of the guys who must have organised it all and said, my mate reckons he can beat that guy. And I'm like, no, I never said that. One thing led to another, and they convinced me to spar with that guy for a round, you know, just messing. And I said, no feet, it's got to be Western boxing. Yeah, okay. So I get in the ring, and we have 3 minutes, and he's too light for me. I can shove him around, you know. I didn't want to hurt him, and he didn't want to hurt me. And the guy says, no. He says, not same. We have one guy, same you, Lao Sak. So they bring Lao Sak out. And I look at him, and he's a welterweight. He's about my weight, about 62 kilos. And I look at his eyes and his nose, and boy, this is an experienced guy, you know. So I said, how many fights has he had? Because my Thai wasn't that good. 7. And has he won them all? Yeah. Okay. Well, no feet. And how much time could I have to prepare? So the deal was 3 3-minute rounds, 5 days from now. So I was down the gym with this Aussie guy hitting the bags, and he says, you got a great right hook. You got a great right hook. I then find out the next day that Lao Sak has only had 7 fights in Pattaya. But he was a champion with more than 120 wins at the big Rajadamnern Stadium and the Lumpini Stadium. He's an ex-champion, and so I go to see him, you know, with somebody who could speak English. And I said, listen, this is just for the tourists. I don't want to get hurt, and I know you're really good. He said, don't worry about it. He says, don't worry about it. Friend, don't worry. But I knew he's never going to let me win. I knew that. So I thought, well, I've only got one chance. You know, you can't get your stamina in a few days. So I just thought, I'll go for it in the first round. I've probably got 3 minutes of energy in me. That's it. Meantime, they're promoting it all, and I'm going down there lunchtimes, and all the guys are coming out, all the tourists, we got money on you. I said, no, don't ever put any money on me. This is not going to go my way. And I knew that, you know. So, come the fight day, I've drank 6 Red Bulls before, and I've got all the Thai boxing oil, and the Aussie guy's there rubbing my neck. He says, you'll have him, you'll take him. He says, that right hook you got. He says, if you can catch him on the butt. I says, forget it. So off we go. Ding ding, round 1. Quite a lot of people watching. Lao Sak, straight away. And he lets me unload lefts, hooks, straights. So everything I'm throwing, he's smiling at me while all this is going on. And
He's waiting for you to gas.
I just kept going and doing what I could, but I wasn't hurting him, and I knew that. And I thought, well, I can't not do this, because he's just going to drop me. End of the first round, I'm there on the chair, they've got towels on me, they're putting ice down the front of my shorts, and Lao Sak's not even sweating yet, and he's standing up, you know. Second round, more of the same. Until about halfway through the second round, when I really couldn't punch that much anymore, and he just pushed me away and got up on his toes. Blah, blah, started to jab me. Blah, blah. Didn't hurt me, but put me down 3 times, and he kept saying to me, the last time he says, my tongue look, pull out. So the referee said no, so it lasted 1 3/4 rounds, and yeah, he showed what I knew, you know.
How old were you at this stage?
I'd have been what, like 28, 27, I suppose. No, older, maybe 30, maybe even. But he became a very good friend, Lao Sak. Yeah, he gave me his pair of shorts and showed me all his newspaper clippings, and even told me that the reason why he was in Pattaya.
What was the reason?
He got paid a fortune to sleep in a fight in a certain round, and he did. And people were so pissed with him that he had to leave in a taxi with his boxing gloves still on, and never ever went back to Bangkok again. Yeah, apparently. But he was a wonderful guy, took me around his place, and whenever I used to go to Pattaya for a weekend or anything like that, I'd never have to worry about a room because I'd sleep with Lao Sak. He was a great guy.
Where is he now?
Lao Sak, I've no idea. I've no idea. And I've no idea how I could even find him. I may have some pictures of me and him. I'll see what I can dig out.
Paul, how about your teaching days, right? Because a lot of people say that it's difficult to teach Thai kids.
Yes, it can be.
Any stories about that?
It can be. I have one I'm quite proud of. What could we call this one? The most destructive class ever. I was asked if I could go to another school and go into a class of Matiom 4 kids who were totally disrespectful to everybody. And even the Thai teachers were having a problem with it, and they asked me if I would do a lesson with them. So I said, well, okay, but we had mobile phones then. We would have mobile phones, and this is not that long ago, maybe 8 years ago. And I went to the office, the admin, and I said, I want all the telephone numbers of the fathers of all the students. So she printed it out and gave it to me. I got them. In the class we go. I introduced myself, and they're all kind of like lounging around on their chairs, and it's the Phalang, let's see what you got to say. So I put some stuff on the board and said, I'd like you to do this and that, and I'll give you a piece of A4 paper, and we're going to do some fun stuff. Went down like a bomb. And the obvious ringleader, I looked at him, and he just got the piece of paper and he folded it up like that, put it somewhere. And I said, do you want to do it then? He says, no. I said, what's your name? He just, I asked the girl, cheer like, and she gave me his name, so I looked under this. Father, Kun Jiep, on the mobile phone. So what do you have, Kun Jiep? กำลังสอนลูกชายคุณเดยังไงเขาไม่สนใจจะทำยังไงดี The boy starts
to translate that for the audience there.
Hi there. Yeah, I'm an English teacher for your son, and it seems whatever I tried to get him to do, he doesn't want to do anything. So I go, and the kid's looking at me, and he's laughing. He's actually laughing because he thinks I'm playing around. And then I give him the phone to his father, and he's kind of like, Paul, cap, na kun pa. And then he hung up, and he says to me, I'm going to get a walloping when I get home. And I went, tell the class. And that was it. That's the way to, because they had no fear of the teacher, they had no fear of the school, but they had fear of their father. So I cracked that one.
Yeah, the same as any culture, but Thai fathers are strong men, and the kids are scared of the dads.
All terrified.
So it worked out well for you, yeah?
It worked out okay. My first day of teaching, I was terrified, even with the crazy things I've done in my life. I'd never taught English before. So I decided to go and buy 8 pens, and I had 8 pens in my pocket. And even the people at the school, it was a language school, when they looked at me, and the students, as soon as they saw all these pens, they just assumed I was a great teacher, experienced. I bluffed it. And I managed to get through it, and I took to it, Sadly, there's a lot of foreigners who come here. The only way they could get a job is teaching English. They hate it, and they make it a misery for themselves and the kids because they just don't want to be there. Well, I looked at it another way. I thought to myself, hey, I can have some fun with these guys because they love fun, and they'll learn some English at the same time. So I kind of threw myself into it, and I loved teaching, but there came a day when I decided it was enough, and I think I was writing something about the present continuous tense on the board, and this thought came into my head, and that's it. No. So I walked into the principal's office and very, very kind, so sorry, I said that I don't have it in me anymore. And went home, and the wife overloaded. You've given up your job? Why? I said, I'm going to become a writer. 6 weeks later, I was earning more money than I had when I was a teacher. So
You seem to be a guy that's gone in and out of stuff, pivoted,
yes,
took risks.
I've taken risks. A major period of my life, which is in the book I wrote about from when I was about 8 right up until coming to Thailand, called A Wanderer's Words. I think the link will be in the description for that one. Well, doing that, all that kind of stuff. I didn't really have any goal other than wanting to experience more and more, and loving the fact that when I wake up in the morning, wherever I happen to be sleeping, whether I'm in a tent or a bamboo hut or whatever it is, I don't know what's going to happen to me today, and it's wonderful. And so I had this kind of freedom, and yeah, I didn't really know why I was doing it until I came to Thailand. And then take us through a day in your life, right? The whole day, start to finish. Well, because now you mean?
Yeah, right now, because we're going to get into it in another video, but you do live a hermit's lifestyle. We've mentioned it in a previous video. We're going to get into the reasons why in another video, but I just want to know, like, take us through a day in your life.
Typical day, okay. As it comes.
Yeah.
Dogs wake me up at just before dawn, so about 5:15, I suppose. I'll come out, I'll make myself a coffee, grab my cigarettes, take the dogs round the corner for their morning walk, and I'll stay around there and watch the sun come up. And I'll think to myself, you're living a perfect life, you know, it's just wonderful. I have everything I need. So I'll do that, I'll come back here and do a few things around the house, take a shower, clean my porch up where we're sitting now, get my table out, get my laptop out and all my gear, and I start writing, and I probably write for about 7 or 8 hours, and I'll take 2 or 3 breaks in between that. Sometimes
Can you just explain what you actually do? Because you're an SEO, what's it called again? SEO?
I'm a content writer.
Content writer, yes, right? Okay.
I'm a content writer, so...
What's that involve?
Okay, it involves writing 500-word articles that have got certain links in them to the client's website, and these blogs get posted on independent blog sites. So it's a way of driving organic traffic to your website.
And you do that for 8 hours every day, writing on what kind of topics?
All kinds of topics. Law, family, auto, travel, medical, a lot of IT, managed IT services. Yeah, a lot.
And what does your son think of your lifestyle when he hears all these stories about what you've done in the past? What does he say?
Well, I never really talked to them about that too much, you know. I basically thought about my kids. How should I be? What kind of a father should I be? And I thought, well, I should be the kind of father that no matter what the topic, that they would never be afraid to ask me for some advice. So I just laid it down on the line. I had long conversations with them about various illegal substances and things to watch out for, and I told them the way it is, you know, about these substances. And it wasn't until 2015 when I wrote The Wanderer's Words, which was my traveling experiences, and I said to them, you read it, guys. And they took their time reading it, but they both came up with pretty much the same. My eldest son Jerry says to me, wow, Dad, I just realized how lucky I am to have even been born, you know, that you would get through all that stuff before you met Mum. So it was a strange feeling for them, because they'd never seen that side of me. I'd stopped doing that kind of thing years ago. I was a pretty much regular guy, you know, always there for them for whatever, and put them through uni, and yeah, they were pretty blown away by it. Yeah, they were pretty blown away. I'm pretty blown away by it, to be honest, when I think about it. You know, and one of my good friends who's known me many years, he used to say to me, Paul, you can't keep throwing sevens. It's not going to work out. You only need to get it wrong once, and that'll be the end of you. But I had no fear of death, Pete. I had an out-of-body experience when I was 21, and it was very short, a motorcycle accident, but I was outside of my body and I was looking down at myself, and I saw the wheel going around and the smoke, and I heard the sound, and I thought, wow, that's me, and I'm here, and bang, I was straight back, you know, the pain of a broken shoulder and all that stuff. But that changed my life, that one experience, because it made me realize you can actually be outside of your physical body and experience things from the perception that you have. So I started to read up about OBEs, you know, out-of-body experiences, and lots of people have had them, and tried many times to repeat it, but can't. And like most people who've experienced it, I have no fear of death, and that's the common denominator, apparently, certainly with all the videos I've seen and stories I've heard of. The person has no fear of death.
Now, you told me a couple of minutes ago before we start filming that you have your own exit plan. You said if you get very sick, you will take yourself out. You'll
yes, I will leave this earthly plane
on your own terms.
On my own terms, and I think everybody should be allowed to do that. In some countries you can, but in most countries you can't. You know, I mean, a terminally ill dog will put that down, which is the compassionate thing to do. But with a human being, no, let's keep him alive as long as we can. And there's no way my family's financial resources are ever going to be drained keeping me alive when I don't want to be here anymore. So I will go out on my own terms. Yes, I will. Hope it's not yet. I hope I die happily in my sleep at the age of 106, but I kind of doubt it. The body probably won't make it that long. But yeah, I have my own exit plan.
Right, well, Paul, shake my hand.
Great to see you again, Pete.
Well, it's a pleasure to listen and do your and listen to your stories, right? Like I said earlier at the start of this, these type of stories, there's not that many people left with the kind of tales that you've. In 20 years' time, these stories are going to be gone. So you know, capture them now. It's here. Your stories will live on forever. And I'd just like to say another thing as well. Our first two videos got a great reaction from everybody. It was absolutely fantastic reaction, and fair play to everyone who wrote a comment. And you know, there were a couple of nasty comments made about Paul, and I have to say that I don't condone that here on Thairish Times, right? I'm a big believer in freedom of speech, but I hate a bully. So there's no cyber bullying going on here. By all means, criticize or whatever you want to say, that's no problem. But when it comes to criticizing someone's personal appearance, I draw the line at that here on Thairish Times. We're not going to have that here. So anyway, thanks for listening to our story. We're actually going to do another one. I've got an idea here for another one, but we're going to release it a little bit later, maybe in a week or two time. Okay, so we've done 3 here with Paul, and there's going to be 2 more coming because I have the ideas here, but I'll release them maybe 2 weeks, say. So anyway, more to come with Thairish Times. Hit that subscription button, like the video, leave us a comment. I'll see you on the next one.
Great.